We've talked about different golf clubs on the channel before, from some of the more reasonable ones, mid-tier ones. We're about to open a premium one. Let's check it out. We got a long box. It's so long that I can't cut it straight. Just stay in there. There we go. DeadEyeVR, the owner actually of it, reached out to us and asked if we wanted to check out their premium carbon fiber DeadEyeVR golf club. Now this is no small thing, and it's not one of those things where it says carbon fiber and then you find that's not. That is like actual carbon fiber. I feel like this is one of those like really expensive pool cues. You know, people who have those and they come into the bar and they screw them together themselves like they're really fancy. So one of the features about this also is it's weighted, however much you want to weight it. DeadEyeVR, video setup instructions. We don't use instructions here. It's got a real golf club handle, but it's customized DeadEyeVR, so it's theirs. The carbon fiber arm that comes up to this strangely big tip. This must be where you load the weights. Oh, it's got a spring. So you load them in there, but then they don't jingle around because the spring will hold them in place. We're just gonna put a couple in there for now. Let's take a look at this with the club in place. So when we first started testing clubs and Beat Saber handles and everything else for Quest 3, we quickly noticed that they weren't working, because basically the old clubs relied on Quest controllers going in like this, and then once you went to actually play, all those tracking lights were facing away from the headset and the club was all over the place. Quickly, people realized even this one, there's an adapter that puts it this way where it's facing back at you. This one takes it an even step further, and that's where it's facing you. So the headset still sees all those infrared lights way up here and has it all the way down there. This club is shooting for realism at the sacrifice of a bit of safety, because at least swinging this thing around the house, probably a lot safer than swinging this thing around the house, because this relies on a similar system we've seen with others. You hook your hand strap into there and then you twist this up and that tightens it around so that there's no way of losing your controller. Although one nice thing I will say about this one, it holds it tightly in here. I feel confident I could actually swing this thing around, but also because of the way it holds it, when you're swinging, the controller's inertia is pushing it out that way, which is only making it tighter. Where if you were to try that with the Quest 2 one, that's gonna go flying out of it. And that's why we had to redesign for Quest 3, and that's this one. I've never seen another golf club look exactly like this, though. Most of them hang it way out the side. I think the weight's a cool feature, but it is not something that you can quickly change. So if you are really gonna play like Golf Plus and you wanted to switch from your driver to your iron weight, I mean, you'd have to go through the trouble of opening this end, taking the weights out, putting them back. I don't think anyone's gonna do that. I think it would be kind of nice if there was a system of like these, there was just like more rings that you just keep screwing on, so if someone really wanted to have that option. But who knows, maybe you have a whole VR golf club bag that holds all your different VR golf clubs. That'd actually be pretty funny. $90, it's not cheap. Do you see why when you get it in hand? You see that this thing is very valuable, it's very cool, it looks gorgeous. I mean, the light, the way it hits the carbon fiber in there, like it's clearly a gorgeous quality product. The only part here, I do believe this is 3D printed. They've actually done a pretty good job though. Like it's not the really rough ridges, but it definitely looks like that part was fully 3D printed. I think it's time. We gotta go golfing. So this whole time I was thinking this was probably something to keep this attached to your hand so you didn't throw the golf club. It's actually meant to be what you replace your wrist strap with anyways. So I don't have to go digging for a wrist strap. Basically open your battery door like you always do, pop this thing in there, replace said battery door. Now we go through the same steps of putting it in like we would have with the other one. The hole is a little small to shove it in there, I will say that. It seems like the hole could be bigger, but we're gonna make it fit. Now that that's in there to hold this tight, this is going to go in here, and then we are going to twist to tighten until that is good and tight. And so that means the controller should, in theory, just winch up. It's a little finicky. Again, because the hole isn't too big, these kind of want to get caught. I feel like the hole could be bigger, but maybe there's a stability reason or something it's that way. Having a hole just big enough always makes life a wee bit easier. All right, I am in my favorite golf game, Walkabout Mini Golf, which if you're spending $90 on this just for Walkabout, you might be giving some overkill, but hey. I showed you before I realized I had the wrong headset on, that we figured out what this strap was for, but one problem that we found, depending on which way you wind it and how you do it, the way this whole strap works is there is slack to pull this up and then loosen it. So these teeth at the bottom separate and turn to release. Now what can happen though is if you end up tightening it down to where this cable tightens up inside of here, it can block you up to where you can no longer lift up on this bottom portion. It just stops the whole thing from turning up, and it can become extremely difficult to get your controller back out after that. So we ran into it once, so instead this time we routed it this way to just make for less slack to get caught in here, but that is a detail to think about. Now, inside of a golf game, at first I was like, oh man, this is gonna be so awkward to try and figure out what to do, but surprisingly, once you realize the motion is basically just flip the controller over, it's not so hard to get in the game and set yourself up. So I'm gonna go to settings, custom grips, and we're gonna go custom calibration. I need to press the grip button to adjust the position. Oh boy. Okay, what I am doing is I am aligning the real world golf club with the virtual golf club. I think that feels about right. All right, calibrated. Oh geez, okay, this is good. So now in walkabout, what you're gonna do is you're gonna get like a gun approach here. You now have your club in hand, but to navigate the menu or something, you like reach up here to where the trigger is and pow, pow. Okay, that's not so bad at least because the trigger's on the outside. If it was on the inside, it'd be a little more complex, but you just kind of have to reach up and slap. Now, something I noticed right off the bat when we got over here to start doing this that I'm not in love with about this, and if any of you have a DriVR Elite out there, I would love to know if you have the same problem. So I have screwed it together as tight as it can go. The threads have actually stopped physically, but what's happening is there's just enough slack in here, and I don't think on camera there's any way we can pick this up. But if you had it in hand, you would know what I mean. When I go like this, I can feel it jiggling from the midpoint here. And there's just no way on camera to really demonstrate that. But like even if I pinch right there and I go like that, I can feel that the second half just has a tiny little bit of play. It's not much, and maybe it's just this one, but with how premium and expensive this thing is, I would love to have that just stable feel. And when I do this, it keeps making me reach up and thinking, oh, it's gotten loose, it's gotten loose. It hasn't. It's fully tight. It just has a tiny bit of give in there. And if that is the case with all of them, it might be because of the way they designed. They had to put in these pins, basically. That's why there are these holes here that are holding this inner construction. But that is one thing, if they could fix that somehow, or if it's just mine, okay. But you notice that like when you go to grab a club, it just feels that little bit of wobble. Breaks the immersion a wee bit. Boy, when you have it lined up though and it feels like a club in your hand, it does feel really good. Ugh, it feels long. You notice the length of it. And I can't make a shot for crap right now. Even with no weight in it, with this setting and looking at like this cheesy looking putter that they use in walkabout mini golf that looks like it'd be really lightweight, it feels like it's a little too heavy based on what the real life one would feel like, but it does feel like you're holding a very real golf club. Oh, it is nice in walkabout to have what feels like a real club. We're gonna cut here for a little bit. I'm gonna play in a whole round of walkabout and we'll come back when we switch over to Golf Plus for all of you. We are in Golf Plus. Still, of course, Golf Plus shows you the Quest Pro controllers, but what can you do? Going to settings, going to controls. We're scrolling down. They have the Deadeye Q3, which this is not. This is the DriVR Elite. Golf club is perfectly calibrated. I am probably within range of destroying my entire room here, but we're just gonna, let's see. Okay, I think we can do this. All right. Ooh, gosh. That was a solid hit, geez. Oh, I said it was a solid shot. It really was, but then it went right into a bunker. It was perfectly aimed though. If you've never seen me play Golf Plus, it's not a pretty sight. That's why I like the Top Golf in it better. Come on, still in the rough. There we go. Back on the green, 57 yards to go. At least because most of them just use the trigger to move around, you really get used to just reaching up here and smacking the trigger. We can do it this time. I believe in us. Maybe I don't. Hey, yes. So apparently there's a new Vegas edition in Top Golf. I can see the Sphere. We were actually just there. I can see the Sphere. I can see what I believe is the Bellagio Hotel, the Ferris wheel. I don't know the name of that hotel, but we are back in Vegas. This is actually pretty cool. Oh man, okay, the real world site is pretty cool, even if the graphics don't look incredible. And of course the Sphere says Golf Plus, which I'm pretty sure they've never paid for a real advertisement like that. Straight to the sand trap. I like how I don't have to bend over and put my ball on my tee in virtual Golf Plus. Okay, we're gonna kill cams here, but I will play more and I will get back to you at the table. I improved my game. in Walkabout Mini Golf. I improved my game in Golf Plus, but you know me, we usually start with the cons. One is the price. You can see why it costs that much. This feels premium. The carbon fiber is gorgeous. This thing is a work of art when you see it in person. The one thing I kept coming back to is that wobble. It seems to be something in the design where the pins here, the way they're held, it's not even a lot of wobble, but it's something you're really gonna notice. So I am gonna email the designer and try and find out, is this a one-off? Is it all of them? Because gosh, besides that, I would actually call this thing, if you're into golfing, obviously, you have the space for it, I would call this thing worth its price, even at that high price. So I contacted Deadeye and they said that it shouldn't be doing that. It shouldn't have that movement in there. And they sent me another club to verify that. Are people just way better about taping up their boxes they ship than I am? Or do people do this as a joke to watch me struggle on camera? I will never know. Okay, whatever. We're just gonna have to manhandle this one a wee bit. Here we are, attempt number 2. So many thread turns. Well, initial tests are good. I guess I did get a club with a weird thread in there that just wouldn't hold. Okay, well, my one complaint is solved by a second one. I will take this away, play some rounds of golf though, and make sure it doesn't loosen up. So I will get back at you and we'll do the very final thoughts, which does feel so much more premium when it doesn't jiggle from the middle. So we'll be back one more time. We're back for like the many times now with this. We'll start with the cons as per usual. One, this is a professionally designed golf club and it's got a professional price tag. $90 is not cheap, but when you see the craftsmanship, you see the real carbon fiber, I see why it costs that much, but this is not a club that I would say if you're someone who plays Walkabout Mini Golf once a month, you're probably not gonna be buying this. This is for someone who wants a real golf sim experience, and it does deliver on that. The fact that you can adjust the weight is nice, but the other big con I gotta point out though, it feels so real when you're in VR, but with this length, this is dangerous. You can easily take out something in your environment. So you need space. Not only space, you need a high ceiling. Even to be able to swing this thing up above you, you need room for it. So that's probably the other biggest con. But outside of that, I mean, if I was to have someone who played real golf come over and try VR, of all my clubs out there, this is the one I would put them in. I can change the weight if it's an iron or a driver. The handle, the way it feels in your hand now that I'm not having that jiggle problem is solid. And in this new club, this is more of a final model that they sent me. Those spots where the rivets go through, they aren't hollow anymore. They don't look like holes. They're proper. So the whole thing just looks more premium. It feels premium in your hands. I like the way this club looks. I like the way it feels. The only thing for me is, again, that amount of space you need. In most of our studios outside of this one, it's a tight fit. Like you could take someone out, you could take out a pet, you could knock it into the wall. It is a bit risky because of that, but they've made a quality product here, so I will leave a link in the description with those notes that this is for a realistic golf sim experience and you're paying the price for it too. There are some cheaper golf clubs out there and other options that you might use. And ultimately, I think this is gonna be for a niche audience, ones who really want that, but having it, I'm gonna keep this around, and anytime anybody wants to come see some real, like they wanna hit up Golf Plus, they wanna feel real, I'll get them set up in this before I hand it to them, because of the fact that the club's up here and aims differently does make it a little harder, but I do like this club. I'm also a sucker for real carbon fiber, so keep that in mind too. But for all those golfers out there, if you found this, if you're doing real golf sims, or even if you're doing amateur, what do you think? Do you feel like this is a worthy investment at that price? Is this one that you like? Are you using another one that you like more? I'd love to know. I've tried a few of them now, but I'm not a pro golf simmer. I'm probably not gonna test every single one out there and give you my thoughts on all of them, but I like this one. Let me know your thoughts. Once again, thank you for being here with me, and I'll see you in another reality.